X PC build. Can you do it for $500? Microsoft's Xbox One X presents an interesting challenge for PC builders. Sure, if you want raw power, nothing beats the PC. But putting together an Xbox One X equivalent for the same $500 price is tricky. In ideal conditions, that price point already pushes the limits of what's possible, particularly outside of the golden window of Black Friday sales and stellar combo bundle deals on PC components. But we remain in the middle of inflated prices for RAM and certain GPUs, as well as a dearth of 4K UHD drives. Faithfully replicating Microsoft's console doesn't come out cleanly in favor of a DIY PC. Still, it's a worthwhile endeavor, so we've not only updated the prices for our two sample builds from June, but we've also added a new one using a Ryzen 3 CPU. Moreover, we're going to build an Xbox One X PC live on November 1st. Let's jump right into the details. To start, we'll walk through a baseline build, which makes a few sacrifices but should still perform at 4K 30 FPS. Build notes: when comparing our build to the Xbox One X piece by piece, each platform's advantages are clear. Our PC has more flexibility and muscle, while the Xbox One X is both highly compact and set in stone. For the Xbox One X CPU, GPU, and memory, Microsoft chose a custom AMD APU that features a 2.3 GHz custom x86 cores, 40 Radeon compute units running at 1172 MHz, and 12 GB of GDDR5 memory. AMD doesn't have an equivalent APU available for DIY build purposes, so I chose to walk the line between the Xbox One X specs and recommended specs for a smooth PC gaming experience. In our build is the 8-core 3.3 GHz AMD FX 8300, 8 GB of DDR3 1600 RAM, and an 8 GB Radeon RX 580. My GPU choice does have one catch, which I've noted in the build summary below. This configuration nets you a faster 8-core CPU, enough RAM to avoid bottlenecks in system performance, and a GPU capable of 4K gaming at a minimum of 30 FPS on medium settings. However, some Xbox One X games may end up running more smoothly or with better visual fidelity on console than on this homebrew 4K machine. Unlike with the PC, developers can fine-tune their games from Microsoft's console through a low-level API. For storage, Microsoft hasn't yet shared details on drive speed, type, or interface. All we currently know is what Digital Foundry revealed in its April 2017 preview. The Xbox One X will have a 1 TB hard drive with a 50% increase in bandwidth. Without knowing how Microsoft arrived at that 50% figure, we could spend a lot of time speculating. Do they mean a shift from SATA 2.3 Gbps to SATA 3.6 Gbps? Use of a solid-state hybrid drive? A larger cache? Instead, I chose to keep this exercise simple and selected a SATA 3 7200 RPM Western Digital hard drive. While it's possible the Xbox One X $500 price tag includes a SSHD, like in its now discontinued Xbox One Elite model, that would raise the price of this build without explicit cause. The Xbox One X hard drive, as shown at Microsoft's Box Showcase at E3 2017. The final regular pieces of this build are straightforward. In fact, you can use any reputable 500W power supply. The minimum you'll need for this build, ATX case, and Blu-ray drive. The ones listed in our build were chosen for how cheap they were at the time of publication. Speaking of that Blu-ray drive, it's a far step down from the Xbox One X 4K UHD Blu-ray drive. To stay even remotely near a final total of $500, you have to ditch support for playback of 4K UHD discs. So that means you can't play your collection of 4K UHD movies in HDR on a compatible TV, if you already own one. As for the operating system, we can't go as cheap as the Xbox One X included variant of Windows 10, but we can get a W10 home license at a heavy discount. How? By using a trick that Brad Chacos has mentioned to our staff for a while now, buying a product key through Kingwin. It works, but be sure to get the buyer protection. The site functions like an eBay for software, and that insurance will protect you from shady sellers. As mentioned above, we wanted to replicate both the functionality and the price of the Xbox One X as closely as possible. You can't do an exact one-one duplicate, thanks to a mix of Microsoft's custom hardware design and slow release of specs, but this build is a fairly decent compromise between Xbox One X main features and the cost of PC components. This rig should play games in 4K at a minimum of 30 FPS on a medium graphics setting, support HDR, and play optical discs. However, it's more expensive than an Xbox One X by $212 or more if you're bad about filing mail-in rebates. It lacks support for 4K UHD Blu-ray discs. It uses a GPU that's still inflated in price, so currently you'll have to shell out more than MSRP or buy a graphics card with less memory. For example, NVIDIA's 6GB GTX 1060 instead of 8GB